Welcome to our practice today. And yeah, some new things in the practice, which I think you'll really enjoy. And as we're moving through, as I'm moving through this wonderful read called The Atlas of the Heart by Brene Brown, one of the next chapters that we go to is one called Places We Go When Things Aren't What They Seem. And there's times when you know that things don't quite add up, right? Um, and things don't necessarily, what we see doesn't necessarily match what we feel. There's a psychological term for it called cognitive dissonance. And basically, what it means is that there's a discomfort of holding two truths that are opposing. And some examples of these are, for example, when you love someone and you feel hurt by them. Those are two different, very different emotions, but they can both be true at the same time. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that's experienced this in the past, but it is two truths that could be the same. Or when you feel grateful and you feel overwhelmed at the same time, kind of two varying degrees of emotions. I think about if you've ever had a surprise party thrown for you and you walk into the room and you see all these people and you're completely overwhelmed, and then you feel very grateful. This happened to me on my 50th. I walked into what I thought was I was teaching a class that day, but my family had arranged all my close friends and families to come to the class and celebrate my 50th birthday, which was really nice. I taught the class, by the way, which was a lot of fun. Um, but the interesting thing too is when we apologize. This is another way where two things can be true at the same time. When we apologize, often what we say is, "I'm really sorry, but," right? "I'm really sorry, but." And the reality is, in an apology, you really can't be halfway sorry. You have to be all the way sorry in order to actually forgive. The example is like, "I'm really sorry, but you really made me feel bad when you did that," as opposed to saying something like, "I'm really sorry and I was hurt when you did that." So even by changing our language from the word but to the word and, introduces that two truths can exist at the same time. Um, and I challenge you to consider this when in conversation. So the next time you say the word but, think about replacing it with the word and, because when we do that, it actually opens up almost like a whole new dimension of conversation or a whole new dimension of truth. And it's easier not to argue with that because you're not saying one is right and the other one is wrong. What you're saying, both of those truths are happening at the same time. And I find that when we are in some of our yoga poses, two truths can be at the same time, right? And our pose, our big pose today, our peak pose is going to be half moon pose, which is when we're balancing on the blocks. One leg's up, the other leg is extended, and one is firm and down. It's a very vulnerable posture. We're wide open, and at the same time, we're grounded, and we have to be, or we fall over. We are grounded in strength in our legs. And two of those truths, you can be strong and you can stretch at the same time, which we'll see with our hamstring stretches today as well. Um, the challenge of our practice today is, where do you feel in your body that contradiction, and is it true at the same time? The reality is it is, right? It is. And um, it's interesting when we feel something in our body and we can bring that and carry that through in our lives. So that's, I think, part of the biggest joy of movement is finding those paradoxes and living with them. The meditation today will also explore that. Our Shavasana will also explore truths that exist in stillness and movement at the same time. Because Shavasana, we're surrendered, right? We're laying down, we're open. And yet there's still movement that's happening, as you know, in our brain, in our circulation. Two truths can be the same in the same moment. So that's kind of where we're going in our practice today, holding space for these, for more than one thing to be true. So we'll start as we always do. I'm going to bring you back into your mat, and we will begin with our true breath.